Hello everyone, welcome to the demo for Base Schedule. The purpose behind Base Schedule is to provide a mobile solution for anyone managing an irrigation site. It's designed for irrigation professionals, landscape maintenance personnel, gardeners, golf course superintendents, and anyone else who is tasked with managing landscape water use. What you'll be doing with the app is creating a one-week snapshot of the site's water requirements. This could be any week of the year. However, I would suggest using either an early spring or a week of peak demand in the summer months. The idea is to then use this snapshot and create a baseline schedule in your controller. Subsequently, you would then use the water budget function to manage the dynamic requirements for that particular site. Once the app's installed, it opens to the site screen by default. In order to add a new site to our app, we simply select the plus button in the top right-hand corner. For this case, we'll create a sample site with sample data. One, two, three, four, A street, anywhere, any town. Sample contact, sample technician, sample company, sample notes, and if we wanted to add a date of service, in this case we'll put June 12th, 2010, and we select Done. We can save our data, and that's it for creating our site. Once we have a site added to the app, we could either add further sites by selecting Add, or we can select that specific site and go into that one. Once we're into the site screen, we can select Add to add zones. In this screen here, we're able to add the total number of zones we want to for either this time or for the site as a total. In this case, our sample site will have 3 zones. We select OK, and we're then asked to put in a zone description. So for this case, we'll go front turf right, front turf left, and front gardens main. Select Add. Now we can see that our zones are added, and we can actually go into each one and create our schedule. With our zones created, it's just a matter of going into each one and establishing the schedule. So for front turf right, we go in, we can select our plant material is turf grass. We can put a high density to it. In this case, we'll assume a medium microclimate factor, and our reference ET rate, which is available from local extension agents or other online sources. In this region, it's about 1 inch per week of peak demand. So we'll assign 1 inch per week, hit next. We can assign our soil type. In this case, we'll assume it's loam. We'll put about a 9-inch root depth to it, and we'll hit next. When we get rate of zone, this is referring to application rate, and it allows us to apply specific settings for this irrigation zone. We'll go in here, we'll assume that this one is a small rotor zone with a gallon per minute of approximately 6 and spacing of about 30 feet. We'll select our irrigation method of rotors, and we'll assign a management allowable depletion of 70%. We select report, and we can see that our final report has been created. We can either save this and keep going, or we can save and send in an email. Because we have 3 zones, we'll select save. We'll go back to our zone list. We can see that the first one is finished. So then we'll create our second one, which is still turf grass, still a high density. Let's make this one a low microclimate value and a reference ET rate of still 1 inch. We'll go next. Soil type, we'll select loam again. Root depth, 9 inches still. And we'll go into sprinkler spacing, and we'll assign square spacing. Let's pretend this is a spray zone at this point. We'll go 2 gallons per minute with a spacing of about 15 feet. Select Next. Select our irrigation method, which is sprays, and assign a 70% value to the management allowable depletion, and select Report. We're now on to our third zone, which is gardens. Plant material will assign mixed beds to this one with a low density and a microclimate of low. Our reference ET rate again will vary. In this case, we'll go just less than 1 inch at about 0.9. We'll select Next, assign our soil type. Let's assume that it's clay loam in this case. A root depth of about 14 inches. And we'll hit Next and go to application rate. Let's assign drip to this one. Now notice that the values have changed. We're now dealing with gallons per hour and we're dealing with inches for spacing rather than feet. So for this one we'll assign a 1.0 gallon per hour and we'll do 12-inch spacing by 18-inch spacing. We'll hit Next, select our irrigation method of drip, and we'll keep this one at 80% management allowable depletion. We can see our final schedule here, select Save, and we now see that all of our zones have schedules attached to them. Once we have our sites with our schedules entered into the app, we'll be able to look them up through a search function. So if we entered in Q, we would see that nothing comes up. However, if we enter in M, we can see that our sample site comes up. We would also be able to go to the Report tab, and all of our available reports would be listed here. We can select them. We can see the one that we've created. If we wanted to just view it on the iPhone, we would be able to see it here. Or if we want to send, we can actually select Send by email, enter in an email address, and we would be able to send our schedule by email with all of our information. We can see all of the first screen's information here, and then we can actually see our table down below that gives us our schedule. Zone number here, zone name, irrigation method, our overall weekly water requirement in inches, our total running time for the week, our number of watering days per period, our total daily run time, our maximum cycle time before runoff, and our cycles required per day. We would be able to send that from that point. In this case, we'll cancel back out. And lastly, we have our About tab, which gives a little more information about this application and some others, and it also provides a convenient way to send this application or suggest this application to a friend who might benefit from saving water on their sites. And that concludes the demo for Base Schedule. Thank you very much for your interest in smartwaterapps.com.